It starts in a place that doesn't look like wealth at all. A quiet street, early morning, the kind of silence that feels expensive, not because of what is there, but because of what is missing. No traffic noise, no urgency, just time moving slowly, like it doesn't have anywhere else to be. Now imagine two people wake up in this same world. One checks their bank app before they even sit up. The number decides the mood of the day. The other doesn't check anything, not because they're careless, but because nothing meaningful changes from one morning to the next. Money is already in motion somewhere else. It was working while they slept. It will keep working long after they stop thinking about it. Same world, different physics. And the uncomfortable part is this. Most people think wealth is about income, but what actually separates levels of old money is not how much comes in. It's how long money has been allowed to sit still and quietly multiply without interruption. Not earned loudly, not displayed aggressively, just accumulated, preserved, and protected across time like a private law of nature. And once you see this system clearly, you don't unsee it, because it stops looking like lifestyle and starts looking like structure. We're going to walk through that structure, not the fantasy version, the actual layered reality of how old money behaves at different levels, what each level can and cannot do, and why most people never move between them, even if they earn more than the people above them. But before any of that makes sense, you need to understand something simple. Old money is not a person. It is a timeline. And the longer the timeline, the fewer decisions money has to survive. So let's start at the bottom of that system. Not poverty, something more deceptive, the appearance of arrival. At the first level, you find what looks like success, high income, professional status, a stable job in a city that feels expensive on purpose. The person at this level is often doing everything right. Education, career progression, discipline. They are, by most social standards, winning. But their life has one defining feature. Everything is dependent on continuation. If the income stops, the structure collapses. This is the first hidden truth of modern money. High income is not the same as financial independence. It is just a strong flow inside a fragile container. At this level, lifestyle expands quickly, not because it is stable, but because it is newly unlocked. Better apartment, better car, better food, better image, and every upgrade feels justified because the income supports it. But there is a silent pattern underneath all of it. Expenses rise in perfect synchronization with income, not because someone forces it, because identity demands it. And so this level becomes a treadmill disguised as progress. You are moving faster, but the system you are in is also moving faster in the opposite direction. And here is where old money begins to separate itself. Old money does not increase lifestyle first. It increases time. At the second level, something subtle changes. You start seeing families who don't just earn money. They own parts of the system that produces it. Not necessarily ultra-wealthy, but structurally different. They might own a small set of property, a business that survives without constant attention, investments that were made long ago and are no longer emotionally significant. The key difference here is psychological. They are no longer reacting to money. Money is reacting to them. If income drops for a month, nothing meaningful changes. If income increases, nothing dramatic happens either. Because life is not calibrated around monthly survival anymore. It is calibrated around long-term continuity. And this is where something strange appears. Boredom. At first, it looks like stagnation. No visible upgrade, no dramatic lifestyle shift, the same car for years, the same general standard of living. But underneath that stillness, something powerful is happening. Capital is compounding without interruption, and interruption is the real enemy of wealth. Most people underestimate how fragile compounding is. It does not survive panic spending. It does not survive lifestyle inflation. It does not survive emotional financial decisions. It survives only one condition: time without disruption. At this second level, old money begins to look unremarkable from the outside, and that is exactly why it grows, because it is no longer trying to prove anything. Now we move into a different layer entirely. This is where the system stops looking like personal finance and starts looking like infrastructure. At this level, wealth is no longer primarily about income streams. It is about ownership of assets that generate other people's income. Real estate portfolios, equity in businesses that have employees, customers, and predictable demand. Financial instruments that redistribute risk across time and market. Here, money is not stored. It is deployed, and deployment is constant. But what matters most is not the return. It is control over volatility. Because at this stage, the real threat is not poverty, it is instability. So, portfolios are designed not for maximum growth, but for survival across decades. This is where the public imagination begins to break down, because most people assume wealth is about aggressive multiplication. Old money behaves differently. It behaves like something trying not to die. Every decision is filtered through a quiet question. Will this still exist in 20 years? And that question eliminates most modern financial behavior instantly. Crypto speculation disappears. Trend-based investments lose appeal. Even business decisions become slower, more deliberate, more conservative than outsiders expect. This is where irony appears. From the outside, this level looks conservative. From the inside, it is extremely aggressive in one direction only: preservation. Because once you cross a certain threshold, losing money becomes more dangerous than making, not mathematically, structurally. At this point, the system begins to produce a psychological shift that is rarely discussed. Time stops feeling urgent. Decisions stop feeling emotional, and identity starts detaching from income entirely. Now we move higher again, into the level most people imagine when they hear old money. But even here, the reality is less glamorous than expected. At this stage, wealth is no longer personal. It is institutionalized within the family, trust structured, intergenerational planning, legal frameworks designed not to create wealth, but to prevent its fragmentation. The central fear is no longer, how do we make more? It is, how do we prevent dilution? Because wealth at this level does not die from failure. It dies from division.